I started and stopped again. Hopefully that fixed everything. So, all right, speed. All right, the connection's looking good. So let's try this introduction again. I'm Max Wolf, and today is the first episode of Data Science Unscripted, in which I perform data science unscripted, because people don't like whenever people write blog posts and Medium thought pieces about, oh, data science is easy, you just follow these steps, it doesn't really reflect the reality of how data science works in practice. And as a result, there's there's an opportunity for to show the data science process from start to beginning, from start to end, and also explore data sets that blog posts typically don't cover because they're too exotic. But my favorite type of data is the exotic data. And right now I see 19 viewers, so that's actually better response than I expected. And I hope to stream for maybe an hour or two, and we'll see how things turn out. And first, I'll give a little introduction to this data set. This is the Reddit data. Specifically, we're looking at the early years of Reddit data. You can see from the window, it's about 2005 to 2010. This is actually a newer data set. Let me just go to details. It was uploaded this April 6th, and it is actually in response to a few data fidelity issues with the big Reddit set. Like, whenever I do Reddit posts, normally they're like much more giant data sets. Like from 2015, we have data sets about millions of data, and but those data sets are a little older. So, but this V2 is interesting because it's new. It's actually new data. There is older data within the traditional Reddit data corpus, but that data is apparently very flawed and had a few missing data points. And so Jason Baumgartner, who retrieved the data, retrieved Reddit data originally found a new data source and rather rescraped the data. And now we have newer data that should more accurately reflect the early use of Reddit. We have submissions 2005. I guess we don't have 2006 kind of disappeared. 2007, 2005, which is early Reddit. 2007 got about a million posts there. So there got 2 million. Reddit's starting to take off. 4 million, a big percentage increase. And then lastly, we have up to 7 million in 2010. And spoiler alert, I did a couple years ago. I did analysis on Reddit data and found out that the death of Dig was what drove Reddit growth in 2010. That was actually the catalyst of Reddit going viral. But I wanted to take a little bit of a look into how early Reddit worked, because there's a little bit of a startup legacy around early Reddit. Alexis Ohanian and Steve Huffman, aka Nothing and Spez, as the Reddit usernames, famously astroturfed Reddit with like fake submissions in order to show activity. They're one of the first that did fake it until you make it, and that apparently worked. Although in 2018, I strongly doubt that will work again. So I'm interested in looking at that data. We at 2005, BigQuery allows you to preview a little bit of data. So let's look at a few rows. I'll talk a little bit about the fields. This is the timestamp, which shows the time post was made, the subreddit where the post was made. In early Reddit, I don't believe there actually was a subreddit feature, so everything goes into this reddit.com bucket. We have the author of it. We have Nothing, which is Ohanian. We have the title, and also an interesting amount of metadata fields, which I don't think are easily able to be accessed through current Reddit. Got Flare. I don't think there was flares back then. So here is something really interesting: whitelist status. Which shows like where ads can go. But although I have a feeling it's probably just if the post is NSFW, don't show ads, or if the post is NSFW, show certain ads. Wink, wink. You have the URL, and all the associated with that. We got thumbnails. I don't think some thumbnails were a thing back then, but we have now we do. We have more metadata. Is it moved? Domain is what shows the domain next to a given Reddit submission. Got more brand safe. I'm sure that's probably NSW check. Spoiler is a relatively new thing. More relatively new. Over 18, that's the NSFW filter. Flag, rather. Gilded. Number of comments. It wasn't. I doubt there were many comments back then. Got the score, so I can see what the post ranking, although I question the authenticity of these submissions. Got the permalink, so if you want to go, let's go to this permalink. That's not very exciting. Submitted 12 years ago. That's pretty authentic, if I do say so myself. Go back to BigQuery. And just scan more through fields. Nothing too exciting. Although I don't see an ID field. That might be a problem. Has an ID field. I'm not sure what that ID. I'm not sure how to reverse engineer the physical ID from that. That might be a problem. But we'll get to that. So now let's go have some fun querying this large amount of data, and then we can also combine and query all these simultaneously. So BigQuery, go query. It opens up this query editor. Editor has all data. Oh, I wish it was a way to wrap it, but although heads up. By default, BigQuery uses the legacy SQL, which we do not want. I'm not entirely sure why legacy is the default. It's actually legitimately kind of annoying, but let's taking off just the standard SQL. Go back and I'm going out of my query. The syntax is slightly different. You can see it's using backticks to close the cable name. Comes by default with a timestamp filter. That's interesting. That must be related to BigQuery's partitioning, but you don't need this filter yet. So just select all rather. Why is this wrong? Drilling. Oh, sorry. No comma there. What does select all submissions from this table up to 1,000. So let's run that. We build. That's a good warning. We'll talk about BigQuery usage later. BigQuery has controls that make it so you don't accidentally spend too much money on processing data. But if you look here, it's only going to process 6 MB, which is pretty much nothing. And that. It's a very fast query since it's not on a lot of data. Here, that since it's recently scraped, a lot of the authors might be gone, so it's not surprising there's a lot deleted. It's deleted. Titles, just typical Reddit submissions, nothing too fancy. But what if you want to get the very first Reddit submission ever? To do that, we can do sort. I assume if you're a little familiar with SQL, but in SQL you can do an order by clause, which will order data by a given parameter. In this case, timestamp. Timestamp is what we want. We want to sort by that. By default, it'll order ascending, so works for me. Donk W in chat's asking how often where's the data from? The data is from Jason Baumgartner. I'm not entirely sure how he scraped Reddit, but he did it. He's done it for years. Before he started Push.io, and that's and then Felipe Hoffa. Or Hoffa, sorry, I've got the name wrong. A developer advocate BigQuery uploaded the data into BigQuery, which makes it easy to query for. And that's the FH in this FH BigQuery. And also he asked, how often do I use BigQuery? I use BigQuery a lot for my projects since it's the most pragmatic way for processing big data. There are other tools like Spark, Cassandra, but BigQuery, it's for tabular data. It's fast and can be done for some really insane queries. And also, I do use BigQuery a lot at work at BuzzFeed, so that's been very useful there too. Because it kind of worked out. It's a very fortunate coincidence. So back to what I do. As you can see, it's sorted by timestamp ascending. So so the first posts were by nothing and spez. So that's interesting. What did it go to? A Paul Graham essay. That's interesting. Not many people notice, but Reddit ran through was one of the first startups to Y Combinator, which was ran by Paul Graham, a venture capitalist. So that's interesting. That's popped up. Go to that. Agent Orange, I recognize that as an old admin at Reddit. That. A lot of tech-oriented news, not surprising given the backgrounds. Interesting. Those it's going to be hard to see if like they're authentic or if it's fake, but that'd be something worth looking into. We can order by different like qualities. So let's look at what Reddit's points scored the best during this 2005 period. To do that, instead of ordering by timestamp, we can order by score descending. Same thing. Right. Top post is September 2005. Siege of programming. It seems like there's a lot of inspiration by Hacker News. Aaron, that's very, he's very well known. And that's not interesting that it was a pseudo Hacker News. With thought pieces. Why Reddit was rewritten in Python. That's a while ago. Guess that sort of worked out there. I know Reddit's trying to try to revamp in 2018 because there's a lot of Reddit's code base is very infamously messy. Not too exciting, but now what might be helpful is querying on all of these tables simultaneously, so I can see like the top posts from all of Reddit's early years. Standard SQL and BigQuery. Since I'm using standard SQL, I should do comment to ensure that it's using standard SQL. But since the tables are in a very specific format, we can use a wildcard query. Query them all at the same time. Do that, put a wildcard, and use the table suffix. Rather, it should be ints. There we go. And you can see it's processing all data and it's processing 6.23 gigabytes instead of just like doing megabytes. So this is a bigger query. But when you use BigQuery, you get 1 terabyte for your processing. So 6 gigabytes isn't that bad in moderation. Although it does get expensive if you do go beyond that 3 terabyte, but it's in terms of big data, it's actually a lot cheaper than a lot of the other options and much easier to maintain. So that's how BigQuery gets its value. So let's run this query. Oh, it's the most famous post of all. Test post, please ignore. That was made during 2009. Good. Oh wait, is this Reddit's new desktop? I haven't seen that yet. Ugh, this is terrible. But back then it got 21.9. I think in 2000 at December 2015, Reddit changed scoring out. 2017, Reddit. That's no 2016. Sorry. Reddit changed the scoring algo, and they mentioned it would back propagate to older posts. I'm not entirely sure if it back propagated this one, but 22,000 upvotes is pretty good. Although people may brigade it a long time ago. But so I believe that's the number of comments. That'd be more interesting sort too. Here. Job. Although actually we create all these fields, we don't actually need all these fields. So I'm going to only select the fields I need. And that there's a big benefit to doing that. BigQuery. See, this says 6 gigabytes. That's only, but that's when creating every field. Let's only create the fields we need. So let's do timestamp, author, title, score, and then URL. And URL and perma. That's where we can reorganize it for easier of visual use. Do second. But you can see this process half as much data since it doesn't only BigQuery will only charge you for the data it actually processes. There goes a little cleaner. It's using the most recent scoring. That's accurate. I'm not aware of these posts that went viral on Reddit, apparently. Let's go take a look. Title, got the URL. I'm usually familiar with Reddit's Arcane history. I'm not aware of these posts. That's interesting thing, thanks to the power of data science, TM. Obama wins the presidency, 2008. That does seem like it'd get a lot of points. And here you can see we got all the years except 2006 apparently. But the thing about scores, it's the score maximum is proportional to the Reddit user base, so we'd expect to see more from 2009, 2010 getting all these upvotes. Although a lot of the authors appear to be deleted in retrospect, since it's a new pass, which is disappointing, but not much can be done about that. Chat roulette, I remember that. Good times. I don't recognize any of these names. Although Jedburgh, he was a former Reddit employee, he posts a lot on Hacker News. Yes. Interesting. Oh, Mr. Grimm, he did. This is the Imgur post. Really, Imgur's that long ago? Imgur counts that 8 years ago. Really? Huh. But yep. I'm curious how they did an interview a while ago that said they're apparently profitable. I question that. I did a data analysis a year ago about Imgur's use on Reddit. Imgur links Imgur down since Reddit rolled out their own image hosting, and that I can see how that can be a problem. Although it's interesting dynamic. WikiLeaks is in danger. Oh, the feeling it's going to be something ironic there if you go to that post. And just like traditional history, 2009, 2010. It's instead of doing my scores, start by number of comments descending. What's the field name again? Hold on. Num comments, okay. Deepananos asks, hard G or soft G on Imgur? I don't know. I start pronunciation is a little bit of a mixed bag because Start has such like extremely bizarre names. Oh, did I not run? But and it depends on my mood, really. I know the big GIF is GIF or GIF, but it depends on my mood. I'm flexible. Got score is much different from points per score. But, see a lot of comments on marriage. That's Reddit and Twitter behave like that too, from early Reddit. Got score. Got Reddit GIFs. Guess that was the thing back then. Vote up if you love pie. Wait, how much comments does that have? Wait, did I not retrieve number of? God damn it. Right, I can see I'm at 9 viewers, so I apparently annoyed half my audience already. That's better results than I expected. Okay, this makes a little more sense. Got number of comments. That's a lot of comments. I didn't even know posts could have like 360,000 comments. I'm verifying that. I question that. Okay, it does have that many comments. Wow. Should probably check to see what posts have newest amount of comments. That has to be a record. Wow. That. Was just too sad. Better be if you love pie. That has more comments than the score. I'm curious on how that actually fired. Oh. That's problematic. But if you love pie, oh, a pie joke. Great. That's early Reddit at its finest. Just going up for puns. Although I was born on Pie Day, so I guess I'm obligated to like pie. I guess that's enough of that. What else can we look at? Or we can do, I guess, filter like early Reddit NSFW. I won't visit those links, but we have a where query and where it just got is rather over 18, I believe. What's his name? Oh, wait, no, it's not. This is what data science is, just constantly referring to schema. So your short-term memory fails you. Oh, oh, that is the correct query. All right. And then it's a Boolean, so you want to do true. So this is early Reddit NSFW, sorted by comments descending. It's a test. Wow, Reddit really like their ironic posts, like test post, please ignore. But I don't think you can easily get away with that unless you're on prequel memes and you that. Anyone forgot? That's definitely different NSFW than what Reddit's typically known for nowadays. Yeah, people actually said NSFW on the post instead of like doing the flag. Interesting. Oh, and I do see people are following me. Thanks for the follows. I do tend to stream more often, hopefully a little faster. But all right, got a good little overview. Now let's aggregate. Between 2010. Let's try doing a yearly aggregate, and then not a yearly, a monthly aggregate. Do that. To do that, we do it based on these timestamps. The timestamp data type can be, there's a BigQuery function called timestamp timestamp truncate, which will truncate a given timestamp to the nearest month. That is what we will need for aggregating. Timestamp trunk, date part. The date part is the month. So like that. And then count all and count the number of emissions. Emissions, timestamp as month, timestamp emissions. And then since we got this error, select references TSV is not aggregated. To do that, we need to aggregate by this month. To do that, we do group by. And there you go. Since it's only accruing timestamps, it takes very low data, even though it's accruing on all these submissions. And oh, I forgot to sort. I'll show you. This is what happens when you don't sort. So basically it's a YOLO sort. It does sorts whatever the hell it wants. So let's do this ordering by the month in addition to grouping by it. I do love it when databases go full YOLO. All right, now this makes more sense. The month is truncated. Another way to make it visualize better, get rid of this UTC, is to coerce this timestamp to a date. Good. Jay Fawcett says, "Nice group by. Thank you. I enjoy group buying very often. So now we got much more easier visualized representation. Just a few posts in the first month, got thousands, got lots of growth there. We skipped 2006, unfortunately, but you can see this big drop, and then got really big month-over-month growth. Now, another cool feature of BigQuery is that for smaller data sets, you can save the Google Sheets. And I guess we can do that right now. And that's a good way I'd like to do when I'm playing with BigQuery to quickly visualize data instead of just going down and downloading it. You got every month. It's date time, so you can format it as whatever you want. And let's just do a line chart. Go. Although it's kind of cheating since I skip 2006 a little bit, but looking at 2007 going onward, you can see it. This is what startup circles typically call a rocket ship growth. That's before Dig took things off. Although you can see the slope change a little bit here, so Dig did have an effect. I do recall from my previous look at this red data that the inflection. This is about April 2010, so this is when the deflection happened, when Dig just imploded and everyone went to red. That's the breaks in the startup world. Going back to here, we can also calculate certain. In addition to calculating that can just count, we can calculate other submissions. Other summary statistics for each month. So a good metric is MAUs, monthly active users, how many people unique people have made a submission per month. And when using standard SQL in BigQuery, there's a special function called for normal SQL, you can use count distinct author. So normally you can do that to count number distinct, but standard SQL in BigQuery has a special feature called approximate count distinct, which is a faster algorithm for counting distinct users for large amounts of distinct users. So that would be interesting to have. We can also do like summary statistics on comments. Like we can calculate the total amount of comments as calculate the number of upvotes. Although that would, in this case, it would be a little misleading since old comments can receive comments from the future. Ideally, if you're doing like a more formal data analysis, you'd have time series data and like calculate the number of upvotes in a 24-hour period from when the post was made. But fortunately, we can't do that. Actually, is another optimization. You know how Reddit upvotes posts start with 1 point, and ideally you would subtract 1 point from each post in order to calculate the number of upvotes more accurately. Although upvotes, it could be by downvotes, and Reddit got rid of the distinction between revealing upvotes and downvotes from the API. So that's a little bit of a bummer, to be perfectly honest. All right, and let's run that, see what happens there. Total comments, interesting. A lot of total comments in the first month. Number of unique new users, very low. It went up significantly. A big drop, a big improvement over the years. And you can see that Reddit's getting reach out of the unique commenters for that period. So this appears to be stopped, huh? Went down. How's that happen? All right, then growth started again. Up. And then hold on. I remember talking about it was the April 2010. 9. Oh, maybe it didn't go up as quickly as I thought it would. And then is another like with a 10,000 unique users per month. That's pretty impressive. And total comments looks like that went rocket ship as well. You know what? Instead of just looking at it, let's open up a spreadsheet and take a look. Select two columns we want. Okay, so it is like kind of the same pattern as number of submissions. Goes right up there. So it didn't seem to as inflect. It's still kind of an exponential curve, even despite the fact that the day 2 exodus caused big amount of changes. So what else can we at? One of the things might be this. No, that wouldn't. Well, if you want to chat like something else to look at, I'm up for it. Go. I can check top authors. That's another thing I hadn't had. All right, instead of doing this, select author. Actually, all these fields should behave the same except doing the aggregates. Instead of sorting by month, we can sort by the number of submissions descending. Who the most prolific commenters are. Well, besides deleted. Well, I've ignored Mr. Deleted there. I guess we can also do that manually. But he's I guess got good amount of important users. This was a test post. Please ignore guy, but I guess he got 26,000 submissions. How did that happen? That's a big amount of Reddit power user. I'm looking more. I'm gonna look more into that. As a data scientist, that's kind of weird. I want to see like what's the distribution of number of submissions for given Reddit user. Do that. We can nest queries a little bit. So let's do run an inner. Fine. Get rid of your stupid trailing comma. All right, so here we have distribution of, I guess, 1.3 million different users during this time period. And from that, we can go calculate histogram by, wait a minute. Rather, I need to figure out a bucket first. Now this is where I look at documentation to see if there's an option for like truncating, because ideally I want to truncate to like between 0 and 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, etc. in order to, I guess, clean things up a little neater. But I just check to see if there's any documentation on that quickly. The BigQuery. That's not great. I remember what they're doing is just encode each like bucket range manually, which isn't great. Although I remember I did something for my basketball data visualization. I wanted like bucket like times into specific buckets, and the easiest way I found to do that was to manually hardcode like each like period of a game, or like first period 20 to 15 minutes, 15 to 10 minutes. Easiest way to implement is hard coded, which won't work here. So maybe a histogram will as well. Although we can do plan B's, only 1.3 million data sets, so I can download this and upload it to R and play with that. So that's an option. In order to do this, I can't really. I can't download this. Normally you can download like small data sets, but 1.3 million is kind of a big data set. So it kind of sucks. So I'm going to go export this data from BigQuery that I save as a table to my personal account. Things. I got the table, and what I do that is I export it to a Google compute engine. And that's running. You also like can do it like directly in R if you or with Python if you want to, but it's an option. I prefer like do things. So let me go bucket. And I saved as Reddit early, 16 megabytes, even though it's 1.3 million rows. No, whatever, I can download that. And then off camera, I am moving that download file. It's just a normal CSV to a different folder, and now we can go play around with R for a little bit. Here we go. Here's RStudio, which is the best IDE for working with R data, and I'll show you how to create some very nice data visualizations using this type of data. Although I feel like I'm going to be going back to BigQuery. But let's get started. This is an R notebook. Whenever in RStudio you can create like an R notebook, I just skipped a step to get directly to the R notebook to save a little bit of time. This is what it looks like. It gives you an example of how RStudio works. And when you execute code within the notebook, it executes code. So this is Cars is a data set that comes with R. And that's a base R plot of R of the cars data set, which is speed, distance versus speed rather. And we're going to just go get rid of this. Right, you can see in this folder I have the data downloaded, and now let's go play that data. First thing I'll do is import tidyverse, which is the premier library for data science in R, which includes things like ggplot2, which is and dplyr, which everyone in R swears by. And also includes a few other helper functions I can use, like reader, which reads CSVs extremely quickly. So let's import tidyverse. If you don't already have tidyverse installed, you'll need to install it, but which you can do easily with install in RStudio. And then it gives it package ggplot2. Tidyr is also a very useful package for data manipulation. Got stringer for string data and forcats for factor data. Let's go load this into a data frame. To do that, use read CSV from reader. Run it. That went pretty fast, but you can see data load 1.3 million rows in only a few seconds. That's the power of reader. If you do that, try to read CSV using R's normal read CSV, it will work very poorly. And I do see more follows. I'm sorry, it's on the side of my screen, but again, thank you for following, and I really appreciate it. Since we have a DF, you can go to the console and then print it to see what it looks like. It won't in R, the base R, it won't automatically print everything. If you use tidyverse, it will print it in a tibble, which will only print a few rows. That's what you want. If you accidentally print 1.3 million rows to console, the program will crash, and that would be very bad. And I may or may not have done that in my early. So now this is a very quick look at the data. It's very nicely formatted thanks to the work the tidyverse crew does. That's what we saw in the BigQuery. Back here. Works for me. Where is my RStudio? Let's create some very quick ggplots and do some data viz. A thing you can do is if you really want data visualization quickly, you can do a qplot. Just do a plot immediately. Or not. I think I know what it wants. I should mention that RStudio also has a very neat data viewer, which I make a lot of use of if you want to just scan through the data. That's a big feature whenever I work with Python, I miss. Good. So author and so just do num submissions. What I want is a histogram. Let's just do num submissions. Do that. Just access num submissions column. That. And I believe I automatically should do a histogram. What? Wait. Oh, no, num comments. Curse. Minor dyslexia. What? Num submissions. Wow. Data science. And now we have a little bit of a problem. There's a giant skew, as you can see. But there is a way around that. And those familiar with this type of distributions, often there's a power distribution, but it shows the buckets very not helpfully. To get around that, you typically like do a log scaling. See what that does. There you go. Got something a little cleaner. So this is 1. This is going to be 10. This is going to be 100. But what was this count as the number of submissions that people have made during that 2005-2010 period, except 2006. A lot of people with like only one submission. That's typical of behaviors of online networks. But I think we can clean this up. I know data is beautiful. Sometimes it can be a little like that, but we can clean this up pretty quickly. Just instead of doing a Q plot, we have to do a more formal GG plot. Let's do that. Base function ggplot. First parameter is the dataset and the aesthetics, or like we want to like specify the axis. Although in this case we depends on how your data is formatted. We do histogram, so you don't need to specify the x-axis, which is the number of submissions. Then the aesthetic is going to be histogram, which is rather the geometry is a histogram. I think it'll be smart enough to do it automatically. I think that might actually be it. Why is this error? Unmatched bracket. Thank you. You're a very helpful IDE. Let's run that, see what happens. And it reproduced the first one, which is a good start. Now, remember I said we just scale by log, or ggplot, instead of having to transform the number directly,